Good morning, everyone. We're about to begin our first panel of the day, Transforming Business in the Pursuit of Uncommon Growth. So I will leave it to our panelists to take it away.
Okay, thank you. Good morning and welcome everyone to our Dentsu Beach House. Thank you for being here this morning. To help us kick off our first panel session of the day, Transforming Business in the Pursuit of Uncommon Growth. Uncommon growth, what a beautiful word it is. It's a mystical word. We have an insightful and inspiring week of programming ahead of us. And today I'm honored to be joined here by this great panel of experts and Dentsu clients. Let me introduce, I want to make sure I don't mess up with title. Yeah. So Natalie Pico, Director of Corporate Marketing and Brand Experience and Digital Engagement, Santander. And Antonio Borello, Chief Marketing Officer, MSC Cruises. And Dori Itaui, Global Director of Digital Marketing, Media, and Customer Engagement, Galderma. Thank you. So today is a very good day to be talking about business transformation, BX, because we are, as we are proud to announce the expansion of BX practice to global markets from Japan. And with a strong 10-year legacy in Japan, we are poised to help clients shape the future of their businesses. This is just a 10 seconds advertising spot for us. So today we will explore the role of, today we will explore how the role of marketing fundamentally changed in recent years, from years to encompass business strategy, operation, culture, and more. And we will talk about BX, business transformation, for uncommon growth, that surprise competitors and delights customers, and the pivotal role of marketing and creativity in it. So at the end, if time allows, we'll take questions from you, but let's get started. Okay. So the first, the evolving role of marketing. As I said, the role of marketing is becoming more important, shifting from focusing solely on enhancing customer interactions to driving fundamental shifts in business strategy. So maybe I'd like to come to you, Natalie, first, because finance industry is no stranger to change. And I think you are one of the players who really integrated marketing and business. So how has the role of marketing changed in your business or even in transforming your business?
Well, first of all, Toyoda-san, thank you to you and Dentsu for inviting us and having the opportunity to be on the panel. And also a quick shout out and thank you to the audience, because you guys could be looking at the Olympic torch passing and instead you're listening to the three of us. So we're actually very happy that you're here, and I'm speaking for all three of us. So thank you to the audience.
Very excited. I have to say that the audience is big enough.
Big enough audience, Antonio. They're here for you, right? Okay, so, but anyway, so again, thank you for that. You know, Toyoda-san, you mentioned, so we're in the finance banking industry. And I think there's one thing that, everyone who I speak to says they're envious about our sector, which is, what is everyone striving for today, right? It's data. And as a bank, we probably have more first-party data than anyone. When I speak to, peers in the FMCG sector, auto sector, they say, I wish I had all the data that you guys have. And that is true. There is the additional complication, obviously, of when can you use that data? Do you have consent, et cetera, et cetera? But I think the key is marketing plays a fundamental role in the management of the data. And if we start really talking about marketing, I think more and more, at least at Santander, we're talking about, end-to-end. It's called more digital business. We're integrating marketing with sales, with CRM. In our case as well in the banking industry, a huge thing is risk, right? And using data to be able to manage risk, which is really important for us, is absolutely key. And that's really where it's at the core of the business strategy. I think traditionally in the finance banking industry, people thought of marketing more of hospitality. You do maybe an event, you take your private clients, and then you're going to do kind of advertising. But actually becoming a serious business tool, which marketing has always been. But I think now with the digital revolution, it's becoming much more important. And with data at the core, that for us, we are now as a marketing organization working much more with the data teams, the tech teams, the risk teams. And that really is at the core of the business. And I think that's where marketing has changed. It's much more intricately involved with the other divisions in the business.
Great, thank you. So before I move to Dodi and Antonio, let me ask you further. So to adapt to those changes that change, have you changed your organization or any transformation initiatives in terms of changing, making some changes in organization, culture, operations, any?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first thing is as well is what people traditionally thought of as marketing, I think today has changed, right? So it's, for me as well, the brand, we were speaking earlier on, no? But a little bit like brand strategy. A brand goes much more, it goes beyond marketing, right? It's about as well the culture, it's about the customer experience. So one thing in marketing is what you say, but the famous walk the talk, you need to bring it to life. And so in my case, I also have responsibility for customer experience, user experience, and bringing those things together. And in our case, just for those of you who may not be familiar, Santander, we're in 10 countries on the retail side, 160 million clients around the world. There we go. There goes the torch, and they're selling things. So if you want something from the Olympic Committee, you can go check it out. But in terms of the structure, one is how I have those structured, and I have kind of that wider scope. But that's not the same in all the markets. But by simply putting objectives and kind of OKRs to have CX, UX, working with marketing, working very closely with the digital sales teams, CROs, CRM, those are changes in structure. Those groups were not always coming together. And in certain cases, they are reporting into one certain person, and others are not. And it doesn't really matter, as long as you have common OKRs and everyone's working towards the same goal. So those are one of the things that I've done in our organization, and we're trying to separate. It's really break down and not be working in silos and say, we're all trying to help the business and make sure that people have these kind of crossed objectives with actual KPIs they need to deliver on. That has been a huge change.
I see. So everything has to be connected with same OKR, and I'll come back to you on this in the second question. But I'll move to Antonio. The same question: how, in the luxury category, how has the role of marketing changed, and how have you been approaching to this change?
Well, I think that the role of marketing changed a lot in the year. One thing that she said is perfectly consistent in any business. Now, first part data, but for sure, when you talk about cruising in particular, customer is the core to be understood. It seems strange, but when I joined the company, it was very hard to know data about the customer, how they like it, what they dislike. So you have impression from the frontline people, but no structured information. So what we establish is first understanding a little bit more, adding, NPS at any level with the specific software on the ship, which is kind of complicated technologically because they're not fully connected because obviously they're ashore. And so I think this is the first thing. So understanding better the customer. Two, start to, let's say, personalize or better, segmentate, something which is a common practice in other business. It wasn't the case to us. So for us, it was very important also to start, understanding a little bit what is the kind of offer, our customers, what we can offer to the right moment, to the right people, in the right path of the customer journey. Because from the time you book a cruise and the time you go really on board, it can stay 6 months, but the average is 180 days. And then from 180 days, from the day you embark, what we call the gold mine time, we can sell them a lot because you send them, information about the traveling, how to experience the cruise, what you need to be prepared for, what kind of activity you will find on the cruise. But similarly, you try to propose pre-package, what you can sell, internet, beverage package. So it's becoming really marketing a source of business with the marketing automation process that usually we had. So that is another big change I made. And another important point, we were talking about structure and what is different in the organization. we hire data scientists. I mean, they were not the case a few years ago. Now I have 5 data scientists which is working on different things to pack the unpackable, in the sense that we have tons of data. We have a database of over 10 million cruisers on our database, and that's from 120 nationalities, more or less, 110. So it is very complicated to create cluster, which makes a sort of organic, thing. But we created. So it is very important also to start, knowing, understanding, and then make it actionable, which is the other point of the transformation. Then, of course, I also manage the e-commerce, so there's the sales, which is a big part of the portion. That's another story because it's experience. We hire a complete different set of people from people data management skills, data analytics skills, but also digital creative skills. People that has process. People has to shape the offer in the best way for digital understanding. So those are the things that then you can go on and on. Social media change. I mean, everything changed in the last 2 years, I have to say. Any single, let's say, levers of marketing is different.
That's great. I want to come back to the data topic later, but just one question. So after the COVID, has the customer's expectation, the role of marketing changed because of the COVID, before and after?
Well, it changed dramatically, I would say, in our business, because obviously the business was stopped for at least 10 months, fully stopped, so ships in the port. And that was a drama for the organization first, because they have to, downsize the organization in somehow. We didn't, let's say, there were not some layoff, but basically, everybody was like sleeping. So the first thing was move marketing back to action, which wasn't the case at the beginning. It was very hard to reestablish the energy and things like that. Same mirroring the customer, because also the customer was skeptical, just for giving data. I told you before that the average is 6 months, 180 days from booking to, during COVID time was 30 days. That's completely different marketing automation, different. So this changed a lot, and building the confidence was key, and so on and so forth. But now there is the good news that now people want to have experience a lot. They are pushing hard. The demand is very robust. So in a way, it's back to the reality, let's say.
Back to the reality, yes. How about Dori? Obviously, Galderma went independent in 2019, and you've been through the huge transformation and the change. How has the role of marketing changed in your business?
Yeah, so you cannot talk about business transformation without talking about digital transformation. So I think something that we are doing and changing is really the way we do marketing, and now marketing, everything is digital. So this is something that we are also, putting in place. I think also on a 360 side, how you have all those different marketing teams working together from, brand perspective, social, e-commerce, also the sales, and how all of them, you put them together and you create customer and consumer engagement at the end. I think that's what shifted a lot. I think something important to say also is like to test and learn, test new things, learn, and to your point, see the data, see the results, and analyze, and create the best path for our consumers and customers.
Great. So, we know that there's a huge shift in the role of marketing, and we've been through, and we have to constantly transform ourselves. We cannot never stop. We are in the age that we need to constantly transform ourselves. But transformation is easier said than done. It's a really hard challenge. It's really difficult to make it real. So, what are the challenges in driving those transformation in your organization? I'll share our view before. What do you think about the answers? So, from our experience at Dentsu BX, through offering BX consultants to the clients, there are three common problems behind the transformation challenge. One is transformation turns into an end, while it should be a means. End should be a growth, and should not be the transformation. But sometimes transformation becomes transformation for the sake of transformation. That's one. Second is lack of holistic approach. Each element of transformation is connected, depends on other elements and affects each other. For example, we cannot transform marketing, we cannot transform, for example, culture by just transforming culture. You know what I'm saying? We need some transformation around adjacent areas. That's second. Third is changing people's mind and behavior. Ultimately, it's the people who drive transformation. So, sorry, this was like a 60 seconds TV spot from dentsu BX, but any challenges you are experiencing in driving transformation? Anyone? Maybe Natalie?
I would agree with you. I think everyone talks about transformation, and they focus on, well, at least I've seen this. And I think we need to be honest, right? People talk about transformation, and how often do we blame the tech department and say, no, it's good, we're not implementing the technology, or technology hasn't been doing it fast enough. And I think that's an error, right? Because actually, transformation begins with transforming the culture. And it's what you mentioned. It's people management, getting to think in a different way. It's, you were mentioning earlier on as well, how do we get people to start experimenting? Because, I said to teams, if we're not failing in certain experiments that we're trying, that means we're not trying enough, right? Because that's what about experimenting. You're not going to get it all right. We're all learning. We're all in this for the first time. So you first of all need to be fostering, and that's a cultural change and mindset, an environment where people can test something out. And if it doesn't work, doesn't matter. What did we take and learn from it? We're not going out to fail purposely. But if you do, the famous fail fast, fail quickly, learn, and then get up again. And I think that's something that you need to change. And that's with the people. But there's another thing, and being honest, you're not allowed to put this on social media, but let's be honest. You can have all the principles of change management, but then the reality is you have internal politics, you have egos, you have people, as we just mentioned, are not working in an integrated environment. They kind of think, well, what does my team need to do? I'm responsible for this. That's tech's problem. That's data's problem. That's the risk guys. No. This is about how do we actually all start working together as a group. And I really liked how you were mentioning as well. It's critical. We are all part of this transformation. It's not just a one or the other. And I think that's a big change. Marketing no longer is that one. But the reality is, it's people. And I think sometimes you need to make tough decisions. Change people or change them in roles. You may have to do changes in incentive structures, unfortunately. But these are things that are real. You can't just pretend people are going to want to do it. And I think that's a much more critical element than transforming, right? And so I think you transform externally and say, how do we become more client-focused? We're all trying to do that in data. But you also need to look at the data internally. And how do you get your employees rallying behind that change that you want to go to? So that's going to be key as well.
Yeah. Ultimately, culture, people, that's the reality. Yes, of the transformation. Dodi, how are you?
Yes, so I agree with the 3 points that you defined, and I think all of us here have experienced that. One that is important in terms of the transformation is really in terms of shifting a little bit also the mindset and making sure that everyone is looking toward the same direction. And it's not like, marketing is leading that or sales is leading that. It's going together, and showcasing growth. Another thing also is the process. So trust the process, right? So we are in the process of transformation. And this is, I think, as important as the end result. And sometimes we just focus, on the growth and on the ROI, right? And on what we are going to get out of it. But sometimes the process is even more important because we are transforming live. And every day we are learning. And with all those learning, we can make better business decisions. And then we can drive growth and business growth. And I think also in the organizations which we are part of, what you were saying is that we need to be allowed also to do that. So
that's a very interesting point. The process. Can you tell me a little bit more about the importance of the process?
Of course, I mean it depends what you are doing. Like if you want to change brand perception, the brand that has been here since a lot of years and is very famous, and you want to try, for example, to make it more premium or more luxury, like MSC Cruises, for example, how do you make sure that also it's resonated with your audience and it will be authentic? And I think this is the process of learning, right, and of the whole, transformation. And then when you talk about data and risk assessment, right, in the banking industry, so how do you then shift to taking risk and try new things? That's also, I think, part of the process.
I see. Great. You, Antonio?
Well, I don't want to just add on, but I think that everything was I would summarize saying that everybody needs or want to change, or better, they want the changement, but nobody really want to change. That's the problem in any sort of organization. And I think that that's not particularly true in marketing, which usually are the one that perceive before the thing happen. But a lot, I think, that talking about the process has to do with the endorsement of the leadership. If there is a strong leadership who wants to pursue things, and they are, putting efforts, deploy resources, and everything. There is one point though, which is, let's say, live and enjoy the process, meaning that we may do some mistakes, and you have to wait and see. And that's not always the attitude of the leadership. You say, okay, we put all this money on the table, what's going on? I mean, how is this translated into business or whatever is results? And I think that's another important point, is to step in the process, specifically state, okay, we're going to go step 1, this is what is achievable, step 2, step 3. And when you lay out these things, the things happen, I mean, in my case is, okay, you may think something that can happen in 6 years. And people say, in 6 years I'm going to be retired, so it's not in the horizon. But if you want to give breathe, and you want to give space to the company, the brand to grow forever, as it normally you do, you need to enjoy this. I mean, it's a part you get now, something you're going to get in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But that's the pace.
I completely align, because there is kind of a misconception that everything digital needs to go fast. Yes. So from one side, yes, of course, but from another side, it takes a lot of time. And we need to be patient, exactly.
And adding on that, I think the other one is, speaking about that, and you mentioned as well, it's about the journey. Transformation never stops, right? It's continuous. And it needs to be about the phases. And I think one of the other errors, if we start talking about that transformational, is try and go too quickly. There's a Spanish phrase that says, dress me slowly, I'm in a hurry. Okay? And it really is about, sometimes people think digital, just put the technology and it's done. No, it's a cultural change.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's better to go slightly slower, show that we're actually delivering, but make sure that the people are on board. I think if you go too quickly, and this time very often happens with change management, right? You bring in a change agent that comes in like the famous, elephant in the tea shop and just goes too quickly, you are going to fail. And I think you need to kind of be realistic, set some milestones, deliver it, bring people along, get them integrated and part of the process. And I think too often, again, I fully agree with you, Antonio, you need that leadership and buy-in from the top. However, you need to make sure as well that the teams on the ground, those that are doing it, are involved, that they're participating in the process. And then even if it takes a little bit longer, if you have a little bit more consent, a little bit more getting them integrated from the beginning, your chances of success, I believe at least, are going to be higher.
That's a great point. That's a great point, and I fully agree with you. And I think we sometimes, the transformation takes maybe 5 years, 6 years. Then people will be worn out, by doing, trying to transform every day. But our goal is about 6 years from now. So we have to set milestones. We have to praise everyone's achievement monthly or quarterly, and make sure everyone is motivated toward moving toward the one goal. That's very important. The process thing is very important, yeah?
Yeah, and I fully agree with you. We are always transforming. We are, especially in digital, every day you have a new trend. Every day you have something that is going viral, that is buzzing. Every day you have to be on the lookout.
And every day it goes faster. So you think, I need to go even faster. And then you need to say, wait a second, not too quickly either.
Exactly. And is it like jumping on all trends? I don't think it's the right strategy, but which one are tailored for our business and will drive growth? I think this is where we also have a challenge as marketers.
Yeah.
I think that just if I want to add one point, we said that the transformation takes time and mostly pass through, let's say, digital asset, let's say, in a larger sense. The thing that while we are in the transformation journey, something happened like the AI, and so all the focus is okay. What's my boss come to me and say, what's about AI? Everybody's talking about AI. What are you going to do about that? And then you start all this process of the vendors coming to you and say, we have the best. And then, okay, let's grab something concrete. How can this help me? And that ends up to many things you already did, like learning machine, basically learning machine. And then what is the transformation you envisage? What is the look you have? So it's very difficult also to imagine and brief what is the next, because you don't know really what is the possibility that you have to enjoy.
Great. So time flies. So one topic, creativity. Of course, we are at Cannes. We cannot finish this panel discussion without talking about creativity. Creativity in a broader sense. At dentsu, we call it transformative creativity. Creativity to reframe business, creativity to reframe challenges, creativity to have the originality in the strategy, and even creativity to make the transformation real in the organization. Any thoughts on the creativity in a broader sense in business transformation?
For me, creativity is very important. It's a growth driver as much as the marketing transformation or the business transformation. With a good creative, you will have sales, you will have engagement. So for me, that's really something that we should not, remove resources or budget from. With dentsu, we are also, you were talking about AI, so we are using AI to maximize also our media plan, media budgets, and in the region, but also with our creative agency, we are using AI to, with the asset and the creatives that we have, to adapt them and localize them. So we are already doing those things with our different partners, and we are seeing also optimizations, and it's all based around creativity. And I don't think creativity will be replaced by AI. I hear a lot of, hot topic around that. It's something. Thank you for all the creatives that are here. You need this human touch. You need this human reference. You need to understand the brand. You need to understand what you are doing. I think in our job, everything is creative. Even in finance, creativity is very important. Of course, it's different, but everything is creative for me. So that's very important, and that's, like I said, a growth driver.
Happy to jump on that one. Agree. I think AI is probably the one word that everyone's talking about in creativity. But I'll take it from a different angle, because I agree with everything that you just said. And I think, and this is as well one of the conversations that we've been having working with dentsu is, our creativity needs to bring value to our customers. In this very crowded, we're all over targeted and over messaged and the whole thing. It's how do I stand out? And we talk a lot about how do I earn the right to be heard, right? And I think with your creativity is how am I going to earn the right to tell to that future client or that consumer that I'm going to earn the right for you to listen to me and for to become you to become my client, but it's up to me to do it. So it's all about, instead of selling a product, how can I bring value? And I think with creativity we can bring value to our clients in a different way. And I think one of the things that at Santander we've seen is, let's face it, at least I think about MS Cruises. Who doesn't want a cruise? But who really wants a mortgage? No one, right? So I think one of the challenges...
Everybody needs, though.
I know, hang on, we're getting there, Antonio. I'm not saying that they don't want it, exactly. But the reality is a challenge that, myself, my peers that we have, and if there are peers in the financial industry in the audience, guys, hate to break it if you don't agree, but no one wants our products. No one wants a loan. No one wants a mortgage, right? What they want is to be able to purchase a house. They want to be able to go on an MS cruise, right? They want to be able to get an education. And so I think one is, how do we focus more on, we are an enabler, we're there to help create value, we're going to help them get that dream. Because you probably will need the mortgage to do it. But it's more of a question of how can I help you in a different way and not be shoving products down your throat. And that's where creativity is really important. And just one example is, we can talk a lot about personalization, optimization, creative, performance, trying to capture clients. But in our case, for example, in most markets, if you ask a user, what's the prime reason for you to choose a bank? Actually, the number one reason is security. right? And especially in this kind of cyber world where there's a lot of concern, people are looking for security. So we said, okay, well, how can we be valuable to our clients in educating them? And so from a creative aspect, one of the things that we tried out this year, and I think this is how creativity is changing, it's not about an asset, it's we actually created a fiction podcast with two screenwriters from, you guys will know Money Heist, the award-winning Netflix series, and a very famous kind of Twitter author in Spain, and put together, and we created a fiction podcast where it's a story about a woman, she has a victim, they attack her, and it's a whole kind of thriller. And at one point, somebody says, well, how could they have got my data? Oh, let me speak to a friend that happens to work in cyber at the Santander Bank. And so it's a kind of a much more fun, entertaining way for someone, and it's kind of over a coffee, you hear the expert explaining to their friend, well, this is how they could have grabbed information from you to later hack you. And so that's creativity as well, which is not only AI, it's just how do I make sure I'm understanding what is concerning my clients or my potential clients, how can I answer and bring value to what most is important to them? And how do I bring that to life to creativity? And I think that's something as well that's beginning to change. So again, a different aspect from AI, but just thought it could be
In the
helpful.
sake of time, I think in my case, I think everything is correct. I need another word key, which is emotions. Creativity bring emotion. We are not selling.
Yeah.
I mean, we all talk about data. It's
Experience.
very fun that as a marketer, we will spend like 3/4 of our, let's say, speech about data, business, and whatever. In reality, what is our role is also creating, and mostly I would say, when you say stands out, means you have to be associated with an emotion, with something where you stand for, and people desire to join you for the reason you are bringing them memories, you're bringing them good vibes, you're bringing them values that are not tangible. That's the reality why people choose you in reality, because all the products are pretty much the same. But who is really able to is what is winning, the emotion, the heart of the customer. And I think that's the key role of, the creative people that are outstanding here. I think it's super important.
Agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I was listening to your points and I was thinking this is all about reframing what we offer to customers. Reframing the products. The mortgage example is a good example. And if we can reframe what we offer, if we can reframe our business and even industry or category, that will be the business transformation for growth, I think. Yeah, so that's a great point. And I know we are 5 minutes past, so I think we have to wrap up. And so thank you very much. Thank you so much to Dodi, Natalie, Antonio for sharing their
Pleasure.
insights and expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you agree. It's been an inspiring, thought-provoking session, and we hope. So we launched a new proposition. So we look forward to innovating to impact with all of you. Okay, from now. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, just housekeeping. Be sure to stick around, grab some lunch. Watch our next session at 1 p.m. The storytelling by iProspect. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.